سيبقى باجة وضربة وضربة الجول. Goes on. Oh, it's a beautiful finish. Tied in by Bruno Guimaraes. It is Kieran Trippier. It is to Nicholas. Trippier dealt. It's forward towards Wilson. 3-0.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Monday night. Me and Mark are asking the same question we ask every Monday night, but with a bit of a twist this time, Mark. World Cup, what's going on? What's going on? There's the cat making an early entrance. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right, man. What's going on? England are winning the world. No, we're not. But we did all right.
But your cat is very excited, mate, as you can see there. So, yes, it is obviously World Cup season. Newcastle United didn't play this weekend, as we all know, because we're all potentially bored shitless without any Newcastle United to cheer us all up. But we're going to get stuck in. We're going to look a little bit about the World Cup. There's been some big games on today. Just before we do a little bit of housekeeping, if you haven't already, please click that like and subscribe button. We'd love you to come and join us. We are on 2,066 subs now. So we've got a few more. You're smashing the button. We really appreciate that. Room for plenty more, so make sure you smash it. And we're live as always tonight, so jump in the comments, guys. Let us know what you guys think about this World Cup. It's been a little bit controversial so far, which I think me and Mark are going to get stuck into in just a minute or two. We have got some regulars already in the comments. I think BT has had his espressos. He's been in early doors. Mark, he's banged a few comments in, which we'll pull
Absolutely.
up in a minute. But let's get stuck straight in then. And the first thing we have to cover, mate, was just the absolute batshit craziness of the Infantino press conference and FIFA as a whole, and the whole general shithousery of FIFA since this World Cup has begun, or even before it begun, Mark. So let's just start with this guy. I mean, we've got a picture of him in the side bits here, mate, haven't we? Just to try and get an idea of what the fuck this guy was thinking about. This knacker right here, who looks like a geography teacher on the edge because his missus has left him and you've just been cheeky in the class and he's about to lose his marbles, lose his mind and get escorted out of the premises. What the fuck was this guy talking about in the press conference? I think BT's already been in the comments early doors and he pulled up a little bit of a reminder as to what this guy said. And this guy is the head of FIFA, Mark, isn't he? And, you know, he turned around and he said some unbelievable things in this press conference. I'm just trying to find BT's comment there when he kind of pulled it up there. Oh, here we go. So he said, this is what the guy said. He said, today I feel Qatari. I feel African. I feel gay. I feel disabled. I feel like a migrant worker. Well, I felt a little bit awkward, mate, when I heard this guy say these things. I don't know what you thought, Mark.
A little? I mean, yeah, He's a few sandwiches short, isn't he? Let's be fair. He's I mean, batshit crazy is the right way to go with it. He's not all there. I mean, he's trying to defend every way possible being in Qatar, where the World Cup shouldn't be. We know why it's there. We know what's gone on. He's got to protect his money. I think as BT's put in the post as well, he's ran unopposed to be the FIFA president ongoing as well. He's just an unbelievably. I've lost the words for him because he's not all there. I'm absolutely convinced that because he's just. I just don't understand it. To say comments like that, to then go on to, I think he said, "Of course, I'm not Qatari. I'm not an Arab. I'm not African. I'm not gay. I'm not disabled. But I feel like it because I know what it means to be discriminated against, to be bullied. As a foreigner in a foreign country, as a child, I was bullied because I had red hair and freckles. Plus, I was Italian. So imagine." Right. So I mean, to the comparisons. I sort of understand the foreigner, a foreign country thing. That makes sense. There is, you have that level of discrimination. But to compare yourself having red hair and freckles to somebody who is disabled, to somebody who is gay, to somebody who is from another country, to the migrant workers who have been criminally underpaid, overworked, worked to death,
Literally,
no regard to the welfare whatsoever, and then to try and justify it by saying, well, they earn more money here than they earn in their home country. No, that's not the point, Gianni. The point is that it's absolutely scandalous, and it is tantamount to being slave labour, and it's just shot. And for him to come out like that is just absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, it's just. There's just no time for somebody like that, is there? Because he's just, like I said, he's not. He clearly isn't all there.
No, he's definitely a couple of putters short of a golf bag. That's for damn sure. But I think he's these FIFA guys are all very much the same. They seem to think because in their mind they believe this is the best place for the World Cup that everybody will believe it. It's very akin to kind of UK politics, not to go down that route. Whereas if they say something so many times, they'll believe that it's they're careful, but they'll believe that it's true, won't they? If they say it so many times, they'll believe it's true. So you'll believe it's true. And I think they often think this about this World Cup as well. Now listen, this World Cup has definitely been marred in controversy right from the jump years ago. You name it. In this first week or so, we've had it. We've had Joe Lycett, shredding money because of David Beckham, backing it and everything else. We've had obviously Infantino having a little one flew over the cuckoo's nest kind of moment there. We'll get onto the craziness of the games in a minute as well. But we did put a little something in there with the rainbow logo. Now, we're going to get into England in a minute because it's actually been a really good day for England and for Newcastle United players as well. But this was another thing that caused a bit of controversy. So, Infantino talking about the exclusivity and understanding that, all the different factors of people. Now, the Qataris were very straightforward that this was not going to be tolerated, that this is Harry Kane wearing the One Love captain's armband that he intended to wear. Gareth Bale intended to wear the same thing. And both the English and the Welsh FAs were standing quite firm to say that we're going to wear this. Obviously, Harry Kane and Gareth Bale said that they wanted to wear it. FIFA pretty much folded like a deck chair on Blackpool seafront, didn't they, very quickly when the Qataris said no. And they obviously were told that if they were to wear the armbands, that they were going to get booked as well. Massive credit has to go out here. I think BT has been digging BBC out a little bit there, but I've got to give massive credit to Alex Scott on the BBC for wearing that armband when she was hosting Pitchside. I thought that was incredibly brave of her to do that, to make that stance as well. And you've got to give her a props there, Mark, haven't you, for that? I mean, massive respect.
Yeah, I get why England haven't done it. I get why the FA have backed down the same as obviously the Dutch and the Welsh, because they basically came out and just went, well, they've made it to a point where we can't. It stops the football then, and I know that it's a very difficult line to kind of cross, and if your players are then threatened with sanctions, whether they're threatened with bookings the second they walk out, you understand exactly why the FA have done what they've done. I also understand the comments from people that say that they feel that they're spineless, because it is a back down, but. In their defence, and it's not often you'll hear me defend the FA. The FA told FIFA 2 months ago that they were planning on wearing them, and it took until today. It took till today.
It's almost a bit of chicken, isn't it? Who blinks first? I mean, the new monkeys. Great comment there. Alex Scott is a 10 out of 10, but beauty and brains, mate. Absolutely. It's nice to see both of them combine together. And she's great, by the way. What a brilliant pundit she is. Absolutely superb. Great to see her on the BBC smashing it. Harry Kane should have just wore the armband. He bottled it. Yeah, it's a weird one, Monkey, because I think, as Mark says there, Harry Kane, we were talking about this, Mark. We watched the first half together earlier on today when we were working from home. But I was working from home. You were off. But Harry Kane does have a tendency to get yellow cards, Mark, as you rightly said. And the danger would have been, had he got a yellow card before he even walked on the pitch for wearing that armband, and rightly so, it would have been a hell of a stance by Harry Kane. One late tackle here or there, then he would have obviously seen red, wouldn't he, mate? And he would have been suspended for the next game, wouldn't he? So I can understand why Harry Kane didn't do it.
Well, I think Rob Page said it a little bit earlier with the Welsh game. When if you're going into those games, you're going to wear them. It's a booking, and if you wear it for the 3 games, you're suspended.
3 yellow cards. Yeah.
So
exactly. And that's why they did it. That's why they threatened it, wasn't it? That's why they said it. It's because they knew you wouldn't do
exactly, because they knew that the teams would then back down. The biggest, I think, the next one is that FIFA have now apparently told Belgium that they have to remove the word "love" from their collar. Now, there's no symbol, there's nothing. It just has the word "love," and they want them to remove that. It's utterly ridiculous. I mean, I joked to you earlier on that the next step from that is they're going to ban Uruguay from the competition because it's too close to the money with it.
Yeah,
and it's that level of ridiculousness. They're going to ban a word now from the tournament. Not, the symbolism is one thing. Do you know what I mean? But just a word. What do they want? It's just FIFA are a joke. They have been for donkeys, if not forever.
Yeah.
But it's just getting to new levels of ridiculousness now.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to find that Belgian picture there. I thought I'd download it. I'll have a look in a second. But yeah, it was Kevin De Bruyne was modelling the shirt as well. But I mean, this is the weird thing, though, isn't it? I suppose in some ways you could think to yourself, the World Cup was going to be here, so the team should have almost planned for this, should have almost expected this. But I was in one of the many football chat groups that I'm in earlier on, and one of the lads made a really good comment. He said, "I'm surprised that Nike or Adidas just haven't made their players rainbow boots." And just said, there you go. But would they stand firm on them as well? Would they tell them they couldn't wear rainbow boots? Because, I mean, we had this earlier on that, I don't know if anybody saw this, they probably did, that former Wales footballer Laura McAllister was denied entry to the game because she was wearing a rainbow bucket hat. Now, you had found out, Mark, she did get into the game, somehow.
ITV,
but did
I
she
think, said she got in. And apparently, she said she'd snuck it in. I think that's what ITV said earlier on. So
snuck the hat in, yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous, is that you're having to sneak a hat in? Just
monkey saying there. We're just about to pull it up there. Yeah. Great minds think alike, monkey. But I think this is the crazy thing, though, isn't it? Because we'll get into the kind of the games in a minute here, but I think this is the realism, isn't it? And you have to, I suppose. I don't think respect's the right word, but when you're in somebody else's culture, I know a lot of people who do a bit of business over in Dubai and stuff, and you have to respect in part of Dubai, you can't behave a certain way. You've got to respect that they have the laws and everything else. But I mean, this particular law is so anti what the World Cup stands for. The World Cup is the world coming together as one, all these different nations, all these different, backgrounds, all these different, races, genres, sexualities, all this stuff coming together to play this global competition. And you've hosted in a country where they go, not you, not you, not you, not you, not you. And you're just supposed to swallow that and weigh that. And I think that's difficult, isn't it, for a lot of people to take? But I'm finding it hard, seeing people getting turned back for having rainbow hats on. I'm sorry, I can't weigh that. I really can't. What is the problem? Do you know what I mean? I just don't get it.
They must shit themselves if there's ever rain when it's sunny.
I think they just kick the rainbow out of the stadium. Out.
I mean, look, I completely get the argument of you go to somebody else's country, you respect their cultures. I get that. You're not going to take the things that you do day to day that you probably take for granted in this country and take into a country in the Middle East and just think you can just do. I completely get that. But there's a level of, I think you're right, a level of culture within football now where it is inclusivity.
Exactly. Diverse, inclusive, whatever you want to call it. Mate.
And this whole thing about, bringing the game to a wider audience. I think the whole FIFA's whole point of the, Qatar being part of it was, they want to bring the game to more. That's why it was not why it was in Russian, why it was in Qatar, but it was down to money. But
of course,
where you take it to places like that, you want to build football's brand across the world and include more and more people in it. But you've taken it to a place that's just alienated half the population of the world, possibly. And it's just it's on FIFA, absolutely,
definitely 100% on them.
I don't blame Qatar because it's their culture. I blame FIFA. Yeah. FIFA have brought this on themselves, and it's all down to that. It's all down to the greed of them getting there.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
I hate the fact that the World Cup is mired in controversy because I love the World Cup, despite the fact that it's had its problems with, I'm trying to think of the words. My brain's malfunctioning. But again, it's controversy over the years. You think back to some of the results in the 80s and stuff like that were a little bit suspect, and there's always that element of doubt with certain things. I think there's even was it Platini said in '98 that they designed the World Cup so that it would end up being France and Brazil in the final. That's what they wanted. That was their dream. So, but I love it. I mean, I've spent the last couple of days just watching reruns of the World Cup programs from the last 10 or 12 World Cups and stuff, and it's just it should be the thing that brings everybody together, and it's just not this time.
Yeah, it's not doing it.
There's
it's
so
not
much
exciting
apathy
me,
towards it.
It's not
it's
exciting me.
So strange. No.
Yeah, I mean, not just because I'm Scottish either. So I do agree with Toon's comment there that maybe someone should have took a yellow card. It would have maybe said a bigger statement live on TV, which is a fair comment. Jimmy said if you promote liberal equality in a Bronze Age ideological country, there's no surprise they kicked off about it. I agree with that, Jimmy, but I also agree with Monkey's comment there as well. It's a little bit hypocritical of us as Newcastle fans to have anything bad to say about the World Cup, but our owners being Saudis. I do get that, Monkey, and I accept that as well.
I think the counter to that, though, is that it's not like they're implementing anything like that here.
Very true. Very true.
And yes,
they've been inclusive, haven't they? The women's team and the rainbow laces, and they've done all that.
This is the point. They've not batted an eyelid at anything that Newcastle have wanted to do. They've bought into the club. They've bought into the fans. They've bought into the way of it. Yes, they're going to have their own beliefs, but they've not tried to instill those here.
Not yet.
And I get. I'm being slightly hypocritical there myself by saying, well, we should be able to instill some of our beliefs. I'm not saying that Qatar should suddenly change their beliefs, but I just think banning something like that as a symbol, and it's not Qatar that have banned it, it's FIFA, and I'd be clear about that.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think the World Cup should be there in the first place, but this is on FIFA. It's not on Qatar. They're entitled to have what they want. Basically, is their country. It's their country. Yeah. I'm not disputing that, but it's on FIFA. It's FIFA's archaic way of thinking everything that has brought this all about.
FIFA only know one language, mate, and that's money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all they know. And Roger agrees with you. He says we're trying to overcorrect these beliefs here. It's countries that we don't really know enough about. To be fair, I mean, I will say one thing about Qatar. I'm sure you guys have probably seen it. A lot of the regular listeners. Dai is over there, following his beloved Wales. More on that in a minute. But Dai had really lovely things to say about the transport that's on for the fans and the way they're being treated and the hospitality and everything else. So from that side of it, I think the Qataris are there. He is the Qataris as a kind of a people as a community are very welcoming to the World Cup fans. So Dai was very, very honest about that. But as FIFA suggested, let's talk about the football and let's get stuck in just to that opening game, Mark. It was a very shit game generally.
It was just before we get kick off on that. Just in case you haven't caught it, I was going to plug it.
Oh, there we are.
Dai's diary.
Absolutely, Dai's diary. Or Die Another Day. As I think PK come up with the comments. That was superb. That one we used that one, PK. But yeah, so just coming on to the first game, obviously Qatar versus Ecuador, as the song would go. So it wasn't. We weren't expecting it to be a classic by any stretch of the imagination, but it kind of started off. My expectations of this World Cup I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought shit VAR was just reserved for the Premier League, Mark, but obviously it wasn't, because if anybody didn't see it, we're just going to get this picture up for you here. So if anybody didn't see the opening goal that was ruled out, this was the goal. So the Qatari goalkeeper decided to come flying out, a bit of a loose cannon moment, and the ball kind of dropped. The Ecuador player kind of does a weird kind of Nicky Butt style scissor kick over to Ener Valencia, who heads the ball in the back of the net. Looks like a fair goal, but it's not. It's ruled offside. Looking at this image, I don't get that. We'll get your take in a minute, Mark, and some of the comments from the guys. Zooming in closer, this was the apparent offside. I think they gave Mark, was it the leg hanging underneath the keeper's arse? I think is what they said. Is that right?
Yeah,
You're on
I've
mute, I
just
think,
put
mate.
myself on mute there for a second. Yeah, if you go back to that, I mean, when you look at the tech image, you kind of see just the attacker's leg and then the defender. It doesn't make any reference to the goalkeeper being in the air. I'm not sure it could cope with that player being in the air. And if you kind of look and you could just about make the argument that the Ecuador player's toe is offside. It's going back to another one of those where it's a toenail, but the line, I guess, with the technology they're using, the line's the line, so it's either onside or it's offside. Now, if you go to the way that we're supposed to use it in the Premier League, it's that close should not be given. It's too tight. But certainly from multiple angles, it just looked, what have you given this for? But he's ever so slightly beyond the goalkeeper with his little toe. So
I did laugh because Dion Dublin, I was watching on the BBC, and Dion Dublin went, "Oh, that's offside. I'm looking for the offside. I don't really know what the offside is." And he was kind of a bit stumped, was old Dion. But Monkey's saying there that VAR's already ruining the World Cup. And you're right, Roger. Qatar's team was woeful. They were stinking. I mean, I was looking at them thinking, like, you could say, how the fuck are these in the World Cup? Because they're hosting. That's the only reason they would ever be in a World Cup. They were dreadful. We've played better teams at pub team, mate, on a Sunday than those guys. They were fucking awful, a Qatari team, weren't they, mate?
Yeah, they weren't great. Let's be honest. They weren't particularly good. I mean, I guess they tried to play football a little bit, but they were so naive with the way that they were playing. There was no steel to them. There was no way of changing and being a little bit more direct. They were just a very poor team. Sorry about this, folks.
Oh, we love live streams.
Honestly.
Yeah, but to be fair though, I mean, Ecuador looked all right. I think Valencia looked decent up front. He hobbled off at the end, but he looked good. Good movement. Good couple of goals. Penalty header looked really good. The boy from Brighton looked really good. Is it Casido, the midfielder, looked really, really good. I think he's people are talking about him being available on the transfer market as well. So I'd be quite happy if Newcastle put a bit in for that lad, because I think he's a very, very good player. BT's just talking about some of the things FIFA have done there. The Qatari beer ban could cost FIFA 40 million quid with Budweiser, which was a mental thing. I did love the Ecuadorians shouting, "We want beer." That was superb. That
Yeah.
coming from Ecuadorian, I love that. Jack's just saying he thinks this tournament's stripping away what little credibility FIFA had left. It'll be impossible to take them seriously.
I'm amazed you think they had any to start with.
I was going to say, Jack, what credibility was
that's
that?
really kind to them.
Yeah, very well. So just on the Ecuadorian situation as well. So when that goal was it ruled offside? I think that's when this happened. So this Ecuadorian fan turned around, and it got a little bit heated, didn't it? He turned around, this Ecuadorian fan, and he did the old money sign, and he said basically you've paid off the officials or whatever. And this Qatari chap behind him here got really, really angry, didn't he? Really aggressive. And was he somebody quite high up in the Qatari government or something, or was he part of the Qatari family or something sitting behind him?
I've no idea. I just think he was another fan or just another person there.
Because there was a guy next to him, kind of in a tracksuit, that was asking him to calm down, and then the Ecuadorian guy went, "Whoa, calm down. I'm just having a bit of banter." But I think you said the guy released a video, Mark. Did he to kind of apologize?
Yeah, there was another video afterwards that he kind of put on where he was sat with him, kind of arm around him, kind of being like
monkeys say that. Yeah, they were best mates.
I think it's one of those. He's trying to have a bit of banter during the game, backfired on him a little bit, and he's thought, no, I better make peace now before I get into trouble.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, yeah. I mean, Ecuador kind of dispatched them quite easily, really, mate. But moving on to the home nations team, and obviously we had an interest as Newcastle fans today. So obviously England play this afternoon and Wales played this evening. So just starting off with the England game, Mark, a really impressive performance from England. To be fair, they went into this tournament with not a great deal of form, did they, as well? They hadn't won in a while. Questions were getting asked about Southgate. The leaked team sheet was the worst kept secret in the world, because it was pretty much exactly as the team lined up. But very impressive display, mate, from Southgate's boys today.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Iran weren't much cop. I know they got a blow early on with the goalkeeper, literally.
Did not.
But it was nice to see an England side play with a little bit more openness, a little bit more freedom to express themselves. And Jude Bellingham I thought was absolutely outstanding. I'd like to point out, and I probably, along with many, did pick him as my kind of player to be kind of a star at the tournament.
This was going to be his tournament, you said, mate. Yeah.
So it's kind of it's not, for want of a better phrase, is coming out. Tournament. That sounds wrong after what we've just said, but there we go. No, he was absolutely brilliant today. Amongst others, I thought Trippier was excellent.
Trippier was superb, mate.
Harry Maguire played very well. He got caught out for the goal, but I thought he played well up to that point. Didn't have an awful lot to do, but what he did do as well.
As Roger says as well, should have had a pen as well, by the way. The guy was
absolutely right. If the Qatar one, if the Iran one is a penalty, the one on Maguire is a penalty. In fact, the one on, I think it was Stones as well, in the same incident with Maguire, was a penalty. You could have given it for either. But the guy literally had Maguire round as a bear grip. It was utterly ridiculous that didn't go to VAR. It wasn't checked again by the referee, the pitch side monitor. And then for them to go back and review the Iran one at the end was just insane, because you're just going, well, how is that? There's no way that one is worse than the Maguire one in the first half.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with you, Roger. I thought Trips was amazing, and Bellingham looked like a proper player. Just to rewind back a little bit though, on the Iranians, they were poor. Their whole tactic was to basically foul all the England players, and the only player that did successfully manage to fucking knacker was their own goalkeeper. Now, this, I mean, the cameraman, for starters, he must have filmed snuff movies when he was a kid or something, because the amount of angles you saw this poor bloke's face get smashed on the camera. Even the BBC commentator said, do we need to see it that many times? But this guy, look at the state of his beak. He got absolutely battered by his own centre half, and he was in bits. He was ruined. It reminded me of Martinez at St James's Park for Villa, when he should never have continued on. But they pissed around for ages with the guy. Loads of time went by, and then they actually changed his shirt for this lad here with this knackered nose to carry on. And he looked like he was half cake marked, didn't he? And then almost seconds after he said that he would play on, he was gone. I mean, the sub keeper was stripped and ready. He put his vest back on. By the time he put his vest back on and went and walked to the bench, they went, "Oh no, you're back on now," because he dropped again. Such bad management of your players. I mean, much like Villa got sanctions in the Premier League, I think FIFA have to give Iran some sanctions for that, because they're putting that guy's livelihood and his health at risk, mate. How terrible that.
Yeah, I mean, if that's been allowed to be him that's made the choice, it's ridiculous. If it's the medical staff and the coaching staff that have made the decision for him to continue, it's even worse.
Well, Monkey said it's not his choice. He thinks Monkey says it's not his choice. He thinks he was forced to stay on.
It's difficult to believe that. Look,
couldn't believe
no
that.
player wants to come off in a World Cup. No player wants to come off in a World Cup, and you can understand him wanting to try and carry on. You could see it. I mean, he wasn't wobbling, but you could see it in his face. He was completely and utterly broken, literally. And it just, at that point, and we've talked about this before, especially with the Martinez one, there should be an independent, person there to go yes or no. And you cannot tell that quickly with a player unless there is that wobble. And I've seen it in rugby where the referees looked and gone, "No, you've wobbled, you're off. We're not taking any chances. You were off the field," and that was a referee.
Rugby's always better, Mark. Rugby's always better handling this.
Exactly.
The football's dreadful. But I mean, there was a comment I think BT made. Sorry, Mark. Go on. You finish up.
No, I was just going. This has to get taken out of players, managers, coaches' hands. It has to be done independently. Have an independent doctor there that says yes or no. And I know you can't do that at every level because of cost and things like that. But you have to. You have to take the decision away from those that it could cost ultimately. Because if he played on, and he'd taken another blow, got hit in the face by the ball or something like that.
Yeah.
That could have been really, it could have ended his career. And it just shouldn't be allowed to happen where a player is allowed to continue on after a blow like that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think BT said in the comments earlier on. I mean, Iran. You know, we're talking about Qatar. You know, and people mentioned about Saudi Arabia, obviously as well. Iran. You know, Iran on going through a particularly great time as a country at the moment. You know, for a lot of reasons as well. And it was very noticeable that the players didn't even sing the national anthem, did they? You know, I think BT mentioned that there, and that tells you a lot about the confliction that's going on within that Iran squad as well with the players. So, I mean, I don't think that affected them in the game. You know, it's got to be on their minds the way things are going, but I don't think it affected them in the game. I think they generally did try, but England just had way too much to them. I thought, you know, although he didn't score Harry Kane, that ball he puts in for Sterling for the second goal, wasn't it? I think it was just what a ball. Just, you know, he's totally done the defender like a kipper, but a cross. I think I said to you, Mark, didn't I? You almost need two Harry Kanes, one to cross it, one to bury it. But it was a great finish by Sterling. You know, Saka was different gravy. He just looked like he looked like he'd been on an international stage at a World Cup. So this was like his fourth World Cup or something, the way he was playing. And, you know, at that point, you know, Iran just completely caved. It was brilliant to see, you know, two Newcastle players on the pitch at one particular time. We have to talk about this wonderful fella right here, because when Harry Kane went off for our very own Callum Wilson, Kieran Trippier had the captain's armband, and mate, what a brilliant sight this was, seeing Skipper Trippier.
Kieran Skippier, as I dubbed him early on. Kieran Skippier, yeah, he's I even put it in here. Look, that's, he was absolutely outstanding today, and you know, is there a more worthwhile player to take over from your captain when you know he goes off? He was the best defensive player on the field. He contributed going forward again. I think that the stat was, I think he had more duels won than any other player. I think we've got it here.
Yeah, 3 tackles,
most
3
tackles, and most total duels than any other England player. He was exceptional again. But disappointed with his free kick. I really thought that was going over the wall.
Yes,
but he hit it into it, which is rare for him actually to see him just hit one so poorly. But you know, you can't have everything, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, Jimmy's saying there in the comments as well. I think I do remember when Shearer and Rob Lee clashed heads, mate. God, that was an awful one. That I think did Shearer come off worse? I'm sure he did on that one, Jimmy, as well. But as Jack saying, Trippier's passing was clinical as well. He was different gravy. I mean, I don't think you get that with Trent Alexander-Arnold. That debate still rages on, where you don't get that defensive solidity from Trent that you get from Trippier. Mark's just had a nib off the sort some now, I think, guys. So he'll be back in a second. I'm sure the cat might jump in and host in a minute. But yeah, I just thought Kieran Trippier was absolutely superb. He belongs on this stage, even at 32 years of old age. He just looks absolutely class. But there was another thing that was great to see, and that was Callum Wilson coming on and getting his World Cup debut. He looked busy when he come on. He was full of running. A very different player to Harry Kane, so I think they took a little bit to adjust to him. You know, I think Foden, there was times where he could have maybe released Wilson a bit quicker. There was a couple of overhead passes to him, but he did break through. When he's here as well, Callum Wilson, we all just think he's going to smash it between the keeper's legs, you know. Very similar to what Rashford did when he cut inside and buried it when he scored his goal as well. But very unselfishly, he squares it for Jack Grealish, who puts it in the back of the net. Nice, easy tap in. It was a really unselfish bit of play by Callum Wilson, which I think Southgate really enjoyed. And Jack Grealish celebrated. There was a lovely story behind that celebration, if anyone saw the clip online. And Jack Grealish gets a lot of stick from us in particular as well, because he comes across as a bit of a wank, doesn't he? But he did a celebration that was dedicated to a young fan that's got cerebral palsy that he met in person. He gave a signed shirt to. And if anyone doesn't know, Jack Grealish's little sister has cerebral palsy, so he does a lot for that community. You know, he raises a lot of money for charities for them as well. So it was a really nice touch to see Jack Grealish do that. But brilliant to see Wilson bursting through. You know, as Roger says, two Toon players in the England team together. Absolutely superb, Roger. You're right, mate. What was class as well, I was a bit mischief making. I think I tweeted this from the Evermore Twitter page, that I thought Bellingham and Wilson, linked up really well as well. And I think a few people were shouting for a cheeky bid for Jude Bellingham for Newcastle. But Mark even said, actually, which was an interesting comparison, Mark, just bringing it back in, is that Jude Bellingham would probably cost you less than Declan Rice, we were saying, because of the old English Premier League tax, Mark, wasn't it?
Well, there's always that English tax, isn't there? But I think more so that he will cost you less because of where he's coming from. I think he might even have something in his contract that with a release fee, a little bit like Haaland. Excuse me, I just had to run around the house.
That's all right. It's all right.
Not after the cat this time. So yeah, I think, if you were looking at a Declan Rice, it's going to be 100 million plus, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Jude Bellingham, I think, will be a better player. So you're almost, it's one of those where it's going to cost you a fortune, but it'll be a bargain long term because he's just so good.
Man. He is going to get him. Well, do you know what? If we're a Champions League club, we were talking about this. If we're a Champions League club, there's no reason why we couldn't. I agree with you, Monkey. I think Nick Pope would have saved that goal. To be fair, I don't think Pickford was that bad. I think his distribution was really good. I don't think he was challenged.
There was that one save that he turned onto the bar, which was a brilliant save. I mean, give him his credit. I'm not Pickford's biggest fan. We know this, but that save was excellent. And could he have done better? He smashes it, really. There's not many goalkeepers do get anything close to that because it's hit so close and so hard. So I mean, you can't really put that. That was the one moment I think Maguire got caught out. He just got sucked out a little bit, as he's done for Manchester United this season as well. Yeah. He just takes that step out to just try and read things, and he gets it wrong. But yeah, it costs, but it didn't cost us too much today.
Absolutely. Jimmy said he'd take Bellingham over Rice as well. He offers more going forward. I think the Monkey's saying that he had an 80 million release clause. You know what it was, actually? I did see a little VT that he did, and he obviously mentioned how Steven Gerrard was his hero and things like that. And I think I said to you, didn't know that to me smells like Liverpool could be the club from number 8 shirt, following in Gerrard's footsteps and all that stuff. But hey, you know what? If we're a Champions League club, as we're saying there, who's to say, we don't have a chance to get that player? But from one player who cost you 80 odd million quid to another player who did cost somebody 80 odd million quid once upon a time, we're talking about Mr. Gareth Bale. Lovely segue into that. So Wales played against the USA. I watched a bit of this, and I turned it off just I think halfway through the second half. Obviously missed the equaliser, but Wales looked really leggy.
That.
I know, mate. I know. Wales looked really leggy, I thought, in the first half, Mark. And just looking at the Welsh team, I know Dial give us a lot more of an insight on it when he manages to get himself safely home from Qatar. But I just thought, looking at Wales have to have really Aaron Ramsey and Gareth Bale fully fit, flying, for them to be a team that's actually going to be capable of doing something. To be fair, the USA, I was really impressed with the USA. I thought they were very athletic. I thought they knocked the ball around really well. They've got a couple of really, really exciting players in there. Quite physical as well. I was surprised. A couple of really nasty tackles in on, was it Nico Williams early on?
Yeah.
They've got a couple of yellow cards. So USA are no pushovers. And was it George Weir's boy who looked really handy? He got the goal.
Timothy, he's a cracking player.
Good player.
Yeah, it was a great
finish. At one point, he was on loan at Celtic. My dad was saying he was shite.
he is a good player. Look, I mean, Pulisic through ball. Pulisic run.
Roger saying
when
that as well.
He took the ball. I think was it Rodon that went out to try and
I think
win
it
the ball.
was. He just cut through him. Cut through him, man. He's a good player, Pulisic. So we were linked to him, and I was all for that because he was a cracking player, man.
Yes, but you look at that US team, and they were talking about it in the coverage, saying that they've got, is it 8 of them who've got Champions League or playing in the Champions League? We've got Serginho Dest that's been at Barcelona. Anthony Robinson, I think, was he Wigan at one point, and then moved on from there. Weston McKennie's a cracking footballer as well.
Yeah. You got Weir, you got Tim Ream as
Yunus
well.
Musa as well is a very good player, very direct, very, very good on the ball. I think they're let down slightly by their centre forward. If they have a better centre forward than Josh Sargent, then I think they probably cause a lot more problems.
More than likely.
He's not the best centre forward that they've ever had, really.
Remember when they had Freddie Adu? Remember him? He was going to set the world like chat manager. Freddie and manager.
He was going to be the new Pele or something, wasn't he?
He literally was the next Pele. Yeah.
He was going to be the GOAT, but it's whatever happened to him?
I've no idea.
I
think he plays for the Brentford Rejects now or something. I think. To be fair, I think America looked good. The USA looked good. I don't think that'll be an easy. That won't be an easy game for England. I think coming into the next stage. But obviously, as the second half went on, I thought bringing Kiefer Moore on was a brilliant move by Wales. I thought it changed the dynamic. I thought James was poor in the first half. I thought Kiefer Moore offered them an outlet. They offered him something to hold the ball up and get others into play.
That's exactly it.
That's exactly what he did. And then obviously, as the game goes on in the second half, Bale's on the ball. Nice little turn. He's not the Bale he used to be, but he's still got a quick bit of turn of feet in that. He gets fouled, clear penalty, and he steps up, mate. And there's only really one outcome when Gareth Bale steps up for Wales in those kind of situations, mate. He buries it, and then they got a 1-1 draw in the end. And probably by the way the second half went, probably deserved it, mate. Because I thought they come back into the game quite well, I thought, and that they showed a bit of willingness. USA can maybe feel a little bit hard done by, but I thought Bale, if Bale can produce those moments, he might just get them out of the group. But I think they'll struggle after watching the USA today, because I think the USA will turn over Iran massively as well. I think they'll batter them. So the game's really between England and Wales, and USA and England will probably decide who's first and second, I think, mate, in the group. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. Look at I think the US in the first half will beat Iran comfortably. US in the second half, I think you mentioned Wales being leggy. I think the US looked leggy second half, and they were
second half. They did.
But Kiefer Moore came on and changed it completely. I think Dan James. I think I read something earlier on saying, well, the Dan James is a 9 experiment. Well, we all saw that one coming. He's not a forward. He's not a centre forward.
He's just a shit Theo Walcott, is what it is.
Yeah, but Kiefer Moore came on. He's big. He's strong. He'll hold the ball up well. He's good on the deck. He's great in the air. I mean, he should bury that header.
He's got better as well, hasn't he? I think Kiefer Moore's got better with Premier League experience. I really do think that.
I think that will do the world of good as well. I think confidence comes from that as well. They'll go on. And then it's Wales Iran next, isn't it? That they've got, and then the US play Iran. So so you can see Wales winning that one. Not comfortably, but comfortably enough.
We'll get a win.
Probably them.
We'll get a win. It won't be 6-2. I can tell you that for free. I don't think Wales will be 6-2 like England did, mate.
But they did absolutely enough, and they could have won it. I mean, that foul on Bale right at the end as well. I mean, I was shouting that it was a goal scoring opportunity that he denied it, because Turner is it Turner, the goalkeeper? The name escapes me for a second. Matt Turner. I mean, he was way out of goal. Gareth Bale from 40, 50 yards. You're almost just expecting that to dink over the top and into the goal. Yeah. He was taken out. I was sitting there cheekily going, "Oh, it's a goal scoring opportunity. It's got to be a red card." I mean, absolutely not.
You want more drama. You want more drama in this World Cup. My God, we've just filmed 40. I'm not talking about the drama in this World Cup.
We need something to talk about. There's nothing's happened so far, has it?
Nothing going on in this World Cup whatsoever, mate. Absolutely not. But yeah, I mean, I must admit, it was great to see the Welsh fans. Di was in amongst all that, and I'm sure he'll give us the final entry in Di's diary and let us know how that experience was. If he manages to string 2 words together, the amount of beer he's probably consumed. But I mean, the Welsh fans they're special, aren't they, mate? When they go out in force like that. And Gareth must have been buzzing off that. Even everything he's achieved in his career, to put that penalty away, the first World Cup in 64 years in front of those Welsh fans, buying the goal, that would have been special for Gareth Bale and special for those Welsh fans as well, mate. So yeah, listen, we love seeing the Welsh at the tournaments. Hopefully we'll get out the groups with England as well. Because it'd be great to see both the teams progress. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But there's loads more football to come. Obviously we're looking out for for Brazil and Bruno. We're looking to see how Grand Qual's going to do as well. But Australia. So there's a few more Newcastle interest there to keep an eye on, and we'll definitely be looking at it as the games progress, mate. But just a little bit of fun for this next section. So we were having a chat, mate. We're about football songs, in England songs in particular. Now, I heard Ed Sheeran talking about this with Peter Crouch, right? And it got me thinking. So we ran a poll on Twitter. I haven't checked the poll, but the last time I seen the poll, thanks to tagging in Toon polls, we gave Toon polls a cap for this one, and he spread the message. I think that one of them was winning over another, which I was completely shocked at, in my personal opinion. So we'll talk about it. So this is the debate that we're raging on. So Three Lions versus World in Motion for England songs, in my opinion. So if you don't know, obviously these are the two here. Three Lions was sang by Baddiel and Skinner. They've just re-recorded it, and obviously World in Motion was New Order featuring that John Barnes rap. So just before we get anybody's comments on this, Mark, in the comments, what's your preference out of those two, mate? Don't start bringing in Shakira and all the other shit that you were talking about earlier on. I'm talking about those two England songs. Now, listen, there's always a good reason to bring Shakira in, mate, unless you're Gerard Piqué.
It's never a bad reason to bring her into the conversation. Let's be fair.
They're crazy. But just on them two songs.
Shakira on one hand, Baddiel and Skinner the other. I know which way I'm going. Any day.
What's more fun now?
Yeah. Just getting into dangerous territory with my wife.
It is.
So, yeah. World in Motion for me. I get there was a comment I saw earlier on that World in Motion is the better song, Three Lions is the better football song, and I get that because you can't sing World in Motion at a football match, and Three Lions is very transferable to the stadium, and I completely understand that. As the better song as a thing, World in Motion is just epic. It gets. Every time I hear it, it's a reminder, and it's that feeling of despair, I think, as well, that reminds you of what happened in 1990, and there's always that goes with it. Three Lions, the despair that goes with Southgate's penalty.
Very true.
It's always fucking penalties, isn't it?
It is. Maybe not this tournament, mate. Maybe not this tournament. You never know. It could be extra time goal for Mbappe or something.
We've already played about 600 minutes of extra time across all the games so far. That's another topic for you.
Did somebody borrow Jurgen Klopp's watch for this tournament? What the fuck is going on with that? It's most ridiculous.
I think they're adding a minute for every substitute. There must be, because it's just mad. To think 40 minutes in the first half today for England was fine. I get that there was serious injury at somebody. That's fine. But to then also have 10 minutes in the second half was just, where have you got 10 minutes from?
That was mental.
Just ludicrous.
We've got some comments coming in. The new monkey saying Three Lions is the easy answer. Jimmy is with World in Motion. BT is also World in Motion. Rogers thrown Vindaloo. My God, the worst football song I've ever heard in my life. That, I mean, it's like when you go to a boozer and it's just full of pricks, and you say to your mate, fuck this, and you leave it. That's Vindaloo. That's all you can hear in your ear. Just dreadful song, Roger. That's going to haunt my dreams tonight. Jimmy Ray said he did the John Barnes rap in his local in 1990. That's superb, Jimmy. I think we should have some kind of karaoke competition to get you on the mic, mate. Absolutely. Yes, Mark, very funny. Yes, I do remember Scotland's song in 1998. Yes, it was the most setting the bar low song you've ever heard in your life. Don't come home too soon. And you know what?
The ambition shown from Delamici there is just unbelievable.
They still came home, mate. They still came home, which was fucking ridiculous. But yes, but for me, my choice on these two, because I started the debate. My choice on these two are definitely World in Motion for me. Even as a born Scotsman raised in a Scottish family that was told not to like England, I love that tune. It's such a tune. It really, really is. And any tune that has Peter Beardsley saying "Express yourself" on the microphone is definitely a winner for me, mate.
Speaking of which, what the whole thing that not the one night in Turin, the other one, that John Barnes plays the clip of Peter Beardsley doing the rap. It's brilliant. It's unbelievable. If you haven't seen the 3-part documentary thing, it's on. I think it's on Sky Documentaries now. Of the 1990 World Cup, and it's unbelievable. It just for watching that clip with Beardsley doing the rap, It's sensational. I've never laughed so much in my life. It's just brilliant. How anybody ever thought that was ever going to go to anybody but John Barnes is just.
So
But to
did
hear
they all
Beardo
do the
do
rap?
it, it's just.
Did they all record the rap and then they picked John Barnes as obviously being the coolest one out of all of them? Then
Obviously that one's that somebody's saved Beardsley's just for the for the sheer brilliance of it.
Could you imagine if Beardsley had done that rap? But how many obviously, then to be fair, would have slipped into that rap? You've got to hold and give, obviously, to be fair, and do it at the right time. It doesn't really sound the same, does it? Really, no fairness, mate. Oh, that's a great shout. New Monkey, Dizzy, Rascal, and James Corden shout for England. Oh my word! I think I'm still wiping the blood out of my ears.
Was that the Tears for Fears? Was that Roland? Is it Orzabal that wrote it?
Oh God, I don't know. It was shit. Whatever it was, it was utterly shit. Whatever it was.
I know there was
most things that Corden touches.
I like Embraces one. Embraces was good.
On the ball from Ant Deck for me, you got to give that a shout. On the ball, just because it was Ant Deck, really, mate. So you got to give that a shout. Didn't the Spice Girls do a shit one as well? On Top of the World or something? What tournament was that for? That was fucking crap.
Don't know. Embraces was World at Your Feet. Did the Spice Girls do one? I don't know. I'm busy Googling it now as we speak, just because I have no idea. I really hope not.
Yeah, no, there was a Spice Girls one. I'm sure it was.
Oh my God!
On Top of the World or something.
Eggo and the Bunnymen. Eggo and the Bunnymen. It was Eggo and the Bunnymen. Ocean Colour Scene, Space and the Spice Girls. Oh my God! Dreadful. How did I not know about this?
That's like one of them episodes of The Simpsons. When they see who's in hell. That's kind of one of them, isn't it? That's like the hit list of who's in hell. That's
what the hell are Ocean Colour Scene and Space doing? Getting into I said getting into bed with the Spice Girls. Fair enough, but getting into that with the Spice Girls to record honestly, just the 90s were a mad place.
That sounds like a cocaine fueled night when somebody went, yeah, Spice Girls, fuck it, yeah, I'll do that, no worries. The next thing you know, the Ocean Colour Scene managers on the phone going, did you agree to do a song with the fucking Spice Girls? And they're like, oh shit, man, what did we do last night? Oh my God. That's just dreadful. Oh my God. They'll never live that down. We've got some other comments coming in there from Robert saying, let's not forget the 1970 World Cup song, Back Home. I don't know if that was a Scottish one or an English one. Was it the Back Home one? I can't remember that one.
No, it was the England one.
It was the England one. Back Home.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Was it 88? I know it was the Euros.
Which one did Hoddle and Diamond Lights?
That wasn't the world. That was just them singing. Diamond Lights was great. It was a brilliant tune.
That was quality.
For the Euros in '88, I think it was something like "We're Going All the Way." I'm just trying to look that one up now. Yeah, All the Way. Yeah. Watching Bobby sing it is just brilliant.
Was that the 1980?
No, it was 1988. That was the Euros. 1988. And it was the England squad. That was the England team
singing it. Yeah. God, there's been some honkers. That's almost a podcast episode in itself, though. The shittest World Cup songs. That could be one coming up to fill some of the airtime here over the World Cup, guys. We could have just bought a podcast episode out here as well. But we might be back this Wednesday actually with an Evermore. We're just trying to tie things up where we do a Newcastle United English 11. So just keep an eye on the channel, guys. If we're here, come and join us. We'll be live at 7 at our normal time. But if we're not, we'll be back up, I'm sure, with some other videos fairly soon. But I think that's us pretty much wrapped up for tonight, Mark, isn't it? I think we are done there. So it's great to chat to everyone as always in the comments. Yeah.
It's a little bit different. It feels different, doesn't it, when we're not talking about club football? It just it almost feels wrong when there's not as much about the club side to talk about, because it has been really quiet on that regard. There's been a few transfer rumours and stuff, but not a whole lot to get your teeth into.
Yeah, we had Marcus Thuram, didn't we, on a rumour has it there that popped up. There's been a couple of other ones as well. So I'm sure, I think I said in the last rumour has it video that the closer we get to the transfer window opening, the more rumours will start circulating, But I think we're all going to keep an eye on some of the players through the tournament. We'll be keeping an eye on actually Thuram, Alvarez for Mexico is one that we've been linked to heavily. Obviously, Maddison will be keen to see when he gets fit, if he can get in that squad, if he can do something in a tournament as well, So there's plenty to still keep an eye out for, Mark, in this in this
Absolutely.
last
I mean,
of the World Cup.
Did you mention Casido earlier on? I think he's definitely one.
Yes, Ecuador. He looked really good.
About. You've still got the likes of. I think we'd seen links with the likes of Depay was this week. Manu Kone has been recent. Lucas Moura is another one that I've seen recently that's been re-linked to the club. And then obviously you touched on it. Madison's really the big one, isn't he? And there he goes again. Yeah. Madison the big, and that's not a surprise now. If you talked about that 12 months ago, Monkey, you would have been just laughed at.
Yeah,
but now with the way that things have gone, it's West Ham aren't going to get into Europe again. Declan Rice is going to want to play at the highest level, regardless of how much he likes West Ham. Regardless of how much, and there's the argument as well that his ideal destination will be Chelsea. Chelsea aren't going to make the Champions League this season.
They're going to struggle.
I really can't see it.
Chelsea are favourites for Ronaldo. They're fucking welcome to him. That's all we can say. So that's a good way to sign off for this evening, guys. Thank you so much, everyone who's tuned in. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't done already, please click the like and subscribe button. We'd love you to come and join us. I say we're on 2,066 at the minute, so we'd love you to help us get to 2,100 and then onwards to the next milestone. If we're back Wednesday, like we say, we'll definitely give you a bit of notice. We'll tweet it out. Keep checking the channel and it'll pop up and obviously the upcoming videos as it always does. And if we're here Wednesday, come and join us. If not, we'll see you again on the next episode of Evermore World Cup edition. We'll catch you later, guys.
Take care, guys.
Cheers now.